The Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. In this episode of the Do This podcast, hosts Bob Stewart and Chad Hyams sit down with real estate veteran Jileene Snell. As an instrumental force in the growth of the Ben Kinney Real Estate team, Jillene shares her expertise on creating a culture of productivity that endures. Throughout the episode, Jillene discusses the key strategies for establishing a sustainable, productive environment in real estate, emphasizing goal discovery and recognition. The conversation is packed with actionable advice for real estate professionals looking to boost their productivity and find deeper meaning in their work. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast presented by Brivity.
Hey, welcome, Chad Hyams, Jileene Snell. Wait a minute. Is this an ambush? Is this a 15-point plan? Are you guys ambushing me to get
Part two after last week?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, okay. We had Ryan Gregg last week. This week, we've got one of my favorite guests of all time for the Just Do This series, Jileene Snell. Jillene, hello.
Hey, hi. How are you guys?
We're good. It's so good to see you. Thank you,
Bob.
For doing
You just
this,
said one of your favorite. Can I introduce a little bit about Jillene? Because she's my favorite podcast host of all the podcast hosts I've ever had.
That's rude. That's super rude.
Love you, Bob Stewart, and everybody should be listening to us on Win, Make, Give.
That's fair. Knowing Jillene well enough, I'm not offended by that at all. If there's anybody that I would be okay putting on top of me, that over me in the podcast rankings, it's Jillene. Jillene, do me a favor. There's probably somebody on here, although it'd be hard for me to imagine who they are, who may not know who you are. So, in like we like to do, will you introduce yourself in the way that our guests can get to know you a little bit? I'm sorry,
I'd love to. Well, I can't see everyone, but it's nice to be seen and be here with all of you. I'm excited to be here. My name is Jillene. I live in Bellingham, Washington, and I have been working in real estate since about 2005 as a licensed broker, and been working with Ben Kinney, our company co-founder, for feels like 20 years as well, but maybe 19, 18, somewhere in that range. And so we essentially developed and built the Ben Kinney Real Estate team together from the ground up. There were not a lot of systems, technology, resources back in the day. So we essentially did like this trial by fire and trial by, error, and learned those lessons. But then over time, we're able to develop and tap into partnerships that allowed us to bring on those resources that we have now, like our Brivity platform and our leadership models and our lead generation models that we have for realtors. So it's an exciting place to be. And now I am the operator and the team leader for our Ben Kinney Real Estate team here in Bellingham, and work in operations and leadership for Place.
Superstar.
Got the t-shirt on today.
There's so much we could say about Jillene, right? And that we could fill 30 minutes just reading her accolades and all of that stuff. Jillene, you're amazing. And I give you a hard time all the time, and you know that, and that's just, the way to love Jillene. Now, one of the things that I know we're going to talk about today is creating a culture of productivity. And I tell people all the time, I had the pleasure of working in the Bellingham office, moving us into the location that we're in right now, that you guys are still in, and all that kind of stuff. Having been the team leader up there at one point, that I tell people all the time that at 8:30 in the morning, doors would start closing and nobody would talk to each other until 11 o'clock because it was productivity time. And can you talk about how that came around? Because you were there with Ben when that started to become his thing, to say, hey, it's my office now. I'm taking it over. We're going to make this a culture of productivity, and what that really looks like.
Well, in relationship to the morning team huddles that we call power-ups, I believe that began because, back in the day, we needed something to set us apart. And so what we chose, way back then is knowledge and skill set, and through that practice. And so we would have these morning meetings Monday through Friday for about 15 minutes where we would practice our guided conversations, our scripts, what we were going to say to our clients that day. And I think we started, almost 20 years ago, and we've never stopped. And by the way, Place offers a tremendous amount of value, and we are able to bring that to our clients, and it sets us apart. But just the skill set and the knowledge and the practice of that morning meeting is still the thing that sets us apart, as one of them today. So we love it.
How do you, okay, so you, and look, you guys have done this a lot of different, how do you get consistency on something like that? Like, you just showed up on day one, and then you showed up again on day two, and you showed up on day three, and 20 years later, like, we showed up every day in between. But like, how do you get consistency? Like, I feel like if there was a magic pill that somebody should be developing in real estate that we could bottle up and give to people, that would be like the transformative thing, it would be the consistency pill. How have you guys been able to find consistency?
Well, people have to want to show up, right? Like, you have to create an environment where they want to be there. And the one thing that I will say is that energy changes everything. If you can bring energy, it's going to attract people there and to be present organically. If you don't have enough energy or simply a plan, then those are two things that will cause people to withdraw, not show up, and be consistent. But there's a couple other things that are a little bit deeper, if I could go into them.
Right.
And this is on the topic of creating this culture of productivity. And might I add, that sticks, because anyone can do it for a short while, but how do you get it to the place that sticks? And there's many things on this topic, but I'm going to choose two today. The first one is goal discovery, and the second one is recognition. So under goal discovery, number one, we want to determine the goals of our people and work our way backwards to the activity required to reach the goal. Super simple, right? Like, this is you, Chad. It's no different than you helping someone create a couch to 5K to half marathon plan of action.
Yep.
Like, every mile is strategic in getting there, right? Like, every single mile is strategic in getting there. It's no different in real estate. So we want to help them work the way backwards. Now, if there's not a them in this equation, it's you, it's us, it's ourselves.
Can I ask a question, Jillene? Because when I hear that, I think for a long time in this business, I would have thought, okay, they want to make 300,000. Does it go beyond that? Like, do you need to know why they want to make 300,000? So are you starting with like their why, or their this is how much money I want to make goal and working back?
I in the first part of a relationship, I do want to know their why, but more just their initial why. And usually initially it's just driven by an income goal. And that income goal is driven to pay bills, save for that vacation, buy that investment property. We dive more into the why later. We just want to get our bearings in the beginning. Now, I have to say, and Brivity didn't ask me to say this, but the Brivity sales funnel is the gospel for me, because history leaves clues, right? Like, we can see what our conversion looks like personally, or we could use another member of our team or even another team's sales funnel if we don't have that historical data to determine where's our starting point and working our way backwards. That's actually a really great tool to use to create the business plan. And then reviewing it in every single one-on-one, whether with ourselves or with an agent, and asking, where do we see gaps and where are we winning? And we can keep adoption high for ourselves and for agents by, one, knowing their goals, and two, watching their activity daily to see if it lines up with their goals. Now, there's one word I said very specifically, and that was daily. I mean, how often do you learn of someone's goal as a coach or mentor and follow up with them daily? Or watch their activity daily? It's very rare that we do that, right? And sometimes we can't. Correct. It's just not possible or sustainable. Yeah. But I think when we're in a partnership with someone that's close to us, on our team, in the beginning, it takes more accountability initially on ourselves than it is for them. Why? Because they don't have time on task over time to get those wins, to get that momentum, to get that organic buy-in. And those things just take time. Like they come later. And so
Jilliene, it makes me think of Ben talking about like when we hire somebody at Brivity or even bring someone on the team, you're like, on day one, you're probably checking in with them like every hour, right? And then on the second day, it's every other hour. And by the end of the week, you're checking in with them 2 or 3 times a day. And by the end of the second week, it's once a day. And then they're like demonstrating that they're doing the things. And so we can back off of checking in on them essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to earn the right to not be checked in on. And it's for their own good that Ben is teaching us to check in on those people to make sure they're staying on that task. So they do create time on task over time.
Right.
So Jilene, we take their goal. That was the first thing I heard you say. It was goal discovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out that Bob wants to make X. So therefore Bob needs to help this many families. Therefore Bob needs to make this many dials every day to have this many, right? Calculating it all out. Brivity is a great place, like you said, to be able to get those numbers. You said there was a second thing other than just goal discovery, and that was?
Recognition.
Okay, talk a little bit about that. Where does that come in? Is that like, here's an award because you just showed up every day and I just got to recognize you for that? Or what do you mean when you're saying recognition?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there are many people in the world, real estate or not, that do not receive recognition in their personal lives or very little recognition. Chad, I see you shaking your head. Maybe you agree. I think recognition is scarce in our world. Like we take things for granted, even with our partners. Sometimes if they do dishes every day, do we thank them every day for them doing the dishes? Probably not, right? Like that's a simple example. And some are just severely lacking it. And I think this positive reinforcement in the workplace is a way to encourage the behavior and create a habit out of the behavior to get it to become consistent. It doesn't mean we need to drop off in recognition later. Hopefully we have our own like leadership systems for recognizing, and I'll share a few of those. But I think we want to get them into the habit in a way where later we don't need to chase them because we have built a system around, recognizing and around this daily routine. Now, just a few like specifics on recognition that have worked in our world that we love. Number one is we pull up a leaderboard on our team TV screen every single morning at the morning meeting that we just talked about earlier, and we show yesterday's activity. So we start with showing yesterday's, and we just kind of recognize the top couple of people for, say, calls, appointments set, and maybe contacts, right? Hey, you had 10 or more real estate conversations yesterday. That's the minimum benchmark. You hit it. Awesome. Now, we're not pointing out the people who didn't make any calls necessarily, because we never want to do that in a group setting. After the morning meeting, we changed the leaderboard to be today. So then all of the activity that's happening in real time is being seen on that leaderboard, and people who are competitive are going to keep going, or people who are just really in tune with hitting their own target are going to keep going until they hit that target. So like there's a real visual element to that as a team. You could probably do this virtually as well. Number two, this is for me. I have a calendar appointment at 4:00 every single day because it's just before the day ends to look at what happened within our company and our team that day. Who pended properties, who listed properties, who achieved something on their goal list. And then what does the Brivity leaderboard say where I could reach out and recognize 1 or 2 people with a personalized text message. I think the personal texts like go a really, really long way because it's almost like saying, Chad, like I see you, and then you feel seen in that moment. I think group recognition is like some people love it and some people don't, and you get the combination of both.
I mean, You ever have one of those? This happens to me all the time, and maybe this is indicative of how small my little brain is. It just sometimes I hear things and I'm like, that is super smart. Duh. Isn't everybody doing that? Everybody, like, once you've heard the thing, you're like, obviously. But before you heard the thing, it wasn't obvious at all. But this is one of those. Like, yeah, duh. Like, everybody's doing this, right? They have to be. This is so simple. Not that it's simple. But it's so powerful, I think.
Yeah. And it's such a, like, it's in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is to be seen and be recognized and feel important. And like, well, how will that affect productivity and retention if we were to do that consistently? The other two things, which are, again, simple, like you said, Chad, is recognition on Team Slack daily, like posting a screenshot of the leaderboard at the end of the day and highlighting a couple people. And then we do monthly awards where we print certificates for the most calls, dials, appointments set, contacts in Brivity. And we hand those out as a group every single month.
Can I ask a question? Can I go back for a second to that kind of goal discovery piece? And you were talking about like the daily follow-up with people, right? What, like, you guys have brought on plenty of agents, Jillene, in your career. I mean, it's been many, right? Like, what are some of the common reasons why people start to stop showing up? Like, in my head, I'm like, they don't feel confident in their skills, so they're like, I'm not like. But what are some of those reasons that you see kind of early on before somebody's really built that consistency muscle that pulls them away that you can actually go and like solve for?
There's two things that I see happening, and this is more like just real time. Number one is they feel intimidated, like, well, I'm never going to be so-and-so, that top age, that Ryan Gregg. I'll never be Ryan Gregg. And like, it's intimidating to be just at, like a ground level. And then you're around people like that. So I think that's one piece. The second piece, which is probably more common, is they're just not getting results fast enough. And when they don't get results in those wins fast enough, they start to withdraw.
What do you do? Like, so if that's the more common scenario, what are you guys doing there to like kind of buttress them up from the withdrawal?
Yeah. So we have this mentor model where essentially there's senior agents and there's junior agents. So when you start with us, before you get your momentum, you are essentially a junior agent. You're getting started out. Of course, in this real estate climate, it's just harder than ever before. And you need to drill down on how to help people that are really serious about this career. And so with that senior agent, they're taking on helping junior agents convert, say, a client to business. So if you're out there fishing, Chad, you got your line in the water, you're that junior agent, and you're like, hey, not Chad. Chad doesn't fish.
Not me fishing. You know better than that.
Yeah.
I'm a fish. I'll fish, Jillene. I'm fishing. Bob's fishing.
Okay, he's the fisherman. Yeah. So, and you get like a little nibble on the hook, and you're like, this is like a big fish. Like, I want to hook it. I want to be able to reel it in without losing the fish. That's where our senior agents can come in and be like, hey, hand the rod to me. I'm going to reel it in for you. And there's commission sharing involved in that piece, but they get to actually land the fish, and they likely need that senior agent to do it. And that's allowing wins to come much, much faster. And
is that like, okay, I got the appointment. I'm super nervous. So now Anthony's going to go out on the appointment with me potentially. It's things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The senior agent's actually almost stepping in as the primary agent. And another simple example would be if, you talk to a client in Brivity and that client says, like, I'm waiting until spring to list, or I'm waiting until summer to list, and it's an objection, it's not a condition, then the senior agent could actually get on the phone with that client and say, here's why we need to meet now and take action now. So all the way down to that granular level. It's a neat model.
That's going to create great productivity. And as you say, it's going to overcome that I need quicker results to stay in the business and see results from the business, Jillene. I want to change direction a little, because there I was on Facebook this morning, and Jileene Snell posted, And of course, I never miss a Jileene Snell posting. Happy almost birthday.
Thank you.
How important is vision for what you're building? That was a question you asked everybody this morning. Let me ask that question of you. How important is vision for what you're building? And then how do we even go about creating a vision? Because I mean, there are visionaries out there who will give you a vision all day long, right? Ben will give you a vision all day long, but how do we create a vision if we don't necessarily have a visionary leading us?
That's a really good question. This is something that I've spent more time thinking about and coaching on in the past year, I would say. So it's a newer piece for me. Bear with me, but I've coached hundreds of teams and agents over the years, and I've noticed something in particular in the way of vision. And, most companies have a mission, vision, values, right? Whether real estate or not. And we love ours at place. We stand behind them. We live them daily. But what I've seen is like this gaping hole where the individual, the vision within the vision, or a personal vision is missing. It's like, as an entrepreneur, I'm building within a company, like, what am I building? And slow down to think about what it is I want to build. And what I mean by that is like, build that dream team, build that passive income, build that followership, build something maybe even less tangible, like a feeling. I know I'm talking about feelings, Chad. It's very, very odd, but build a feeling.
Like safety, like security, right? Like
yes.
I don't know. Like some people might be thinking, like, I gotta have consistent income because that makes my family feel safe and secure, right? Like that would be a feeling that my vision could be built around.
Exactly. That was really
Chad doesn't know any feelings, doesn't have.
No, I'm not laughing at that. I'm actually laughing at, because I'm such a movie buff, as people who know me know. In the movie, Tom Cruise, and the title just went out of my head.
Top Gun?
No. It's where it's funny, him and Charlie, where he's saying, look, if they say safe and secure, run. You're not safe. They're taking you somewhere and they're going to kill you, right? And here you guys are talking about creating the feelings of safe and secure. So sorry, I'm just on a side note laughing in my brain.
The Ben Kinney team will not take you anywhere and put a bag over your head.
Night and day. Yes, day and night. Thank you, Mark.
You're safe and secure with us.
Thank you, Mark.
Never even heard of that movie. Look at you guys.
Oh, and it's a fun one. You should check it out. All right. So, Jileene, maybe we're creating a feeling. Maybe it's creating passive income. Maybe it's creating a dream team, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Keep going from there as we get you off track.
Well, the word vision itself means like seeing, right? Like we have to visualize every single day what it is that we want and are building. And like I was thinking about it this morning, I'm like, we're either building or we're deconstructing, because doesn't everything naturally erode if you leave it alone? Like think about it that way. And I'm going to Egypt next week. And so I know that we're going to be seeing pyramids that were built years and years ago, and they've eroded over time. And many of these archaeological sites. And I know that like if you kept building on top of them, they wouldn't deconstruct or decompose the same way. So it's no different for our businesses. Now, my purpose for what I do grew exponentially when I started attaching my personal vision. And I'm happy to share it with the group if the group wants to hear it on this call.
I don't care about the rest of them. Yeah, the rest of them doesn't matter, Jileene. I'm fascinated. Go.
It's really simple, as everything on the call. But I wrote it out, and then I start writing it in my journal. I'm not consistent at it yet, but I will be. And it says, the Ben Kinney team creates a life path for agents and their support team to have endless opportunity, stability, lasting friendships, and financial freedom through wealth building.
Ooh, that was long. Say that all again.
Yeah. The Ben Kinney team. The Ben Kinney team creates a life path for agents and their support team to have endless opportunity, stability, lasting friendships, and financial freedom through wealth building. Now, when someone partners with like a team or a brokerage, like they usually, if it's not at place, like oftentimes they're starting as a salesperson and they're ending their career 30 years later as a salesperson.
Right.
And like, does this not look at the relationship holistically? And I think for me, the reason why I said some of these specific things like endless opportunity, well, in my partnership with Ben Kinney, I've been able to have like this big world, like this opportunity, and how important that was to me to be able to kind of pick and choose what lane I was going to be in and where I'm going. And I now want to provide that to other people. Stability, Chad, I did use the word. I care about stability. You know, I didn't have a childhood that was very stable. I moved, I think, 15 or 16 times before I was 15 or 16 years old. Lasting friendships. Well, I had to rebuild my life from Canada to the United States. I had to rebuild my friend group. I had to rebuild my connections. I had to rebuild my friends. And finding those lasting friendships are really important to me. I want to provide that to other people. And then financial freedom through wealth building. I bought my first house at 22. I've invested in 9 properties since then. I own 10 million in real estate assets. I want to do that and help other people follow the same path. Now, that's why it's a personal vision. Notice how personal that was to me. What are you guys thinking?
I think it's been
I'm
brilliant.
thinking, whose shoe is that over there? That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
that's Daryl.
I think it's brilliant, Jillene. Like you basically figured out, how do I show up inside of this big world that I'm a part of, right? Like you're not, like, no disrespect, you're not setting the vision for the entire organization. That's Ben and Chris, right? But you said, look, inside of this thing and all the opportunity, like I think it's brilliant.
And I think it's important for people who maybe even are setting that vision, that even in you just said Ben and Chris, for example, they each need their own personal vision within the giant vision. So folks, you might be a solo agent out there right now and you have a vision for your organization, whatever that looks like, becomes whatever your plan, yet you should also have a personal vision in there. I think it's very powerful what Jilene's talking about.
By the way, as we kind of get towards the end of the call, like you're doing this, right? Like I think of somebody like Olivia, who's, came into our world, right? Was one of those, the support staff for the agents on that team, who's now, off at place, like building that operations division out. She's got an opportunity. Like you, Ben, you guys are just living this. And I love that you're like crystallizing it for yourself. To think for the last however many years that you've been like developing people and kind of propping them up out into the world, and you haven't even had that thing crystallized, Jillene. And now in the last year, you're like, I'm really starting to crystallize my personal vision. Like, I think the power of what you'll do over the next 5 years, or as long as you decide to keep doing this, will be like the light years ahead because of your crystallization of that vision. Because you've been doing it already, like at a high level, I think, but to really like focus on it, oh my goodness.
It's the thing that can really get you out of bed every single morning with a fire in your belly. And if you've lost that fire for your real estate business or company or whatever it is, even sole proprietorship, like it's because we're missing that personal vision. And I just found out firsthand why I was losing that fire. Because yes, I was behind our company's mission, vision, values, wholeheartedly live it every day. But I needed a bigger, and some people might even say it as like a why, like a why behind it. And if we can just stop for a second and imagine if every person around us, or even ourselves or on our team, had clarity on their personal vision and it was aligned with the greater vision, do you think that we need to hold them more accountable or less accountable?
Obviously, they hold themselves accountable, right? That's one of those obvious answers, folks, that Jillene was giving.
Or do you think that their world would possibly grow because of that big vision, and they have a heart for developing maybe their team within the team or developing others on your team? Like, talk about momentum outside of you, but not in spite of you as a leader.
I feel
That's probably my favorite part.
I feel like I have insight that the audience, like I'm sitting here, I'm like, Ryan, Anthony, all these people in your guys' world, like the the people watching and listening may not know that like this is in action today. Like you guys are doing this. You've got it's
been an honor to just watch you do it, right? I mean, I've had a front row seat for many, many years of watching you do that. And it's just so amazing to see how your vision has gotten, right, much more. It's become dangerous in the old flashlight to a laser beam. As you've gotten that beam of light more focused, it actually has become even more powerful now than you were back when I had the opportunity to watch it day to day. Folks, go back, listen to Jillene walk you through hers, and then the explanation of how each one of those things in there is personal to her because of her experiences in life. Don't just copy hers. You've got to fill in the blanks with those things that matter to you, because they're going to be different for each and every one of us. And it's got to be your fire that gets you up in the morning.
Jillene, you're amazing. Thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate it. Look, you wear a lot of hats. You got a lot of things in the air. The fact that you took 30 minutes with us is awesome. And you're heading to Egypt next week, which means I know you got a bunch of leverage there in your
And
world.
she turns 29 next week.
Amazing.
And my birthday, yeah.
Yeah, she's turning 29, Bob Stewart. Be ready for it.
Fantastic.
29.
Well, you guys enjoy the heck out of your vacation. Thank you for doing this with us. And guys, we'll see you next week where we'll talk about somebody else's awesome business and the way that they're out there doing it. Jillene, appreciate you. Have a great afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Good to see everyone.
Bye.